According to court documents obtained by Law and Crime, Jarrell Pryor's murder began with a text and ended with an alleged deadly setup. Just hours before he was killed, police say Jarrell messaged a young woman he'd met online, 19-year-old Alexis Hawkins. The message was just 3 words: when you free. The affidavit says Hawkins responded. She told him when she was available and agreed to go on a date. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. While she was allegedly texting Jarrell, Hawkins was reportedly messaging someone else on Instagram, her boyfriend, 18-year-old Brian Winston Jr. Investigators say Hawkins was working out the details of her date with Pryor while secretly coordinating with Winston behind the scenes. Jarrell had no idea, no clue that Hawkins was in a relationship or that anything could go wrong. It was just a date, and maybe, if things went well, a chance to meet up again. But police say it was never about the date, it was a trap. That night, Jarrell met Hawkins in person. They sat together in his car, and shortly before 1 a.m., Hawkins' boyfriend allegedly appeared and opened fire. Jarrell Pryor, just 26 years old, was shot and killed. A young father, now gone. His daughter, just 2 years old, left behind. As police began their investigation, they discovered the messages between Pryor and Hawkins.
There's a lot going on here, bro. If he 26, well, she just said she was 18. And another thing, bro, first date, it ain't no sitting around. We gonna be here. Where she at? Yeah, middle of the day. We gonna walk across this. I'm gonna ask you what I want. We gonna talk. And then you gonna take your ass home. Then you gonna take your ass home, bro. Don't. Man, this is sad. This is sad, bro. She done set that man up.
Then obtained a warrant to search Hawkins' Instagram account, and what they allegedly found raised even more red flags. Investigators say she searched phrases like news today near me, and shootings Keystone, all on the day of the murder. Police also discovered that Hawkins had allegedly messaged several people asking for a ride near the location of the shooting around the time Jarrell was killed. When detectives questioned Hawkins the following week, she allegedly claimed she couldn't remember much about that night. She reportedly insisted she didn't have a weapon and told police, "No weapon to say I did anything. My fingerprints aren't on anything." When asked if her fingerprints might be found inside of Jarrell's car, Hawkins reportedly replied, "It's not going to be on no weapon, though." But the moment investigators asked about a message she sent saying she was going to make a, quote, play, Hawkins allegedly stopped talking and asked for a lawyer. She was arrested shortly after and charged with murder and robbery resulting in serious bodily injury. Winston was charged as well with murder, felony murder, and robbery. Now, Jarrell's family is left to pick up the pieces. His parents, once looking forward to watching their son become the man and father he aspired to be, are now raising the little girl he left behind. His mother.
And that's a commitment to them for upholding the law, upholding it. Because I'm going to be honest, I've seen situations where the female in the situation, 12 months probation, 60 months, whatever, bro, whatever. They rarely, in my opinion, they rarely hit them hard. They rarely get hard. Because normally they'll flip and be like, oh, well, I told my boyfriend to do this, whatever. I'm cooperating so I get less time. Bro gets 75 years, gets sent up the road, and she gets 75 days and be hopping on another cock 10 minutes later.
Mother, Tamika Wiley, told WXIN, "I'm broken inside." And just weeks ago, Jarrell's parents celebrated their granddaughter's 3rd birthday, a milestone that should have been filled with joy, laughter, and her father's love. Instead, it was a day marked by absence. No Jarrell, no hugs from dad, just a little girl too young to understand why her dad never came home. Justice may come in a courtroom, but for this family, the real sentence is living without Jarrell. And joining me to talk more about this is legal expert Andy Baldwin. Andy, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's just jump right in. How does a case like this typically move through the Indiana legal system once charges are filed?
Well, the first thing that's going to happen is these 2 defendants are going to have to get lawyers. And so there's going to be an initial hearing very quickly, and the judge is going to find out, what are you guys doing about lawyers? And then the real work begins. And because in a case like this, I think you really need to get some quick action with your lawyers and figuring out what you're going to do. A lot of times in my world, you have some time to kind of dig into the facts, dig into the evidence, and see exactly what the state has. But in a case like this, when you have two people that are co-defendants, you may need to go to the prosecutor to get that deal first if you are in fact guilty.
And what are the first steps that prosecutors take after an arrest in a homicide case? What do you think they're doing right now behind the scenes?
Oh, prosecutors, once the charge is filed, they really just depend on their detectives and their investigators to take the lead role in terms of gathering evidence. And they'll be communicating, the prosecutor will be communicating with the detectives and saying, hey, maybe I want you to go get a geo tracking off of one of the cell phones to make sure where they are, things like that. But these are one of the detectives on this case is pretty well known throughout Indianapolis as a very good homicide detective, and he's probably doing a good job on his own of figuring out what needs to be done.
And can you walk us through just how police build a case using digital communications like texts and DMs via social media? Because I know that that was crucial in this case, according to court documents.
Yeah, it's usually bad news for defense lawyers nowadays because it's the phone that you carry around contains geo tracking information. So if they want to know where you were at certain times, they can locate that. So that's a problem. Texting is a real problem because it gives a context of what might have been going on. So in this case, I can tell you what the detectives very quickly sent letters to Google and to Meta saying, preserve the evidence. We need the evidence preserved. But on top of that, while they're preserving that evidence, they're getting search warrants for the phone. So Alexis, who's one of the defendants, they have her phone. Brian Winston, the other defendant, he tried to break his phone, according to the probable cause affidavit, at least. And whether he was successful or not, we don't know yet. But they're going to get search warrant for those phones so they do everything right. And then they're going to start going and digging through the Instagram and Snapchat and all the other things, direct messages from Facebook, and see if they can tell the story. If the investigation can point toward one or both of them more definitively than currently.
Now, both.
Now, y'all be thinking that the messages that y'all send, once y'all slide it, and hit delete, and then it's gone, and you don't see it no more. You don't see it no more, but they can still get in them phones, and these, nah, they ain't kids. Well, she look like a kid. She look like she's 16 or 17. And this is all a problem, bro. You shouldn't be messing with, man. But, you want to date, you want to get out there and go date, man. Fuck this shit, bro.
Suspects, they were charged with murder, and I think Brian was the one that was charged with felony murder. What's the legal difference between murder and felony murder under Indiana law?
Yeah, so actually, it looks like it's Alexis that's charged with the felony murder. It looks like what they're trying to say is that Alexis was in a car with the deceased Jarrell Pryor, and I think from reading it's a 12-page probable cause affidavit, and what they're kind of saying is Alexis took Jarrell on a date, or he took her on a date, but she was cluing Mr. Winston, her actual boyfriend, in on where they were going to be and so forth, and that Mr. Winston then at some point in time came in knowing where they were and shot and killed Mr. Pryor. And so Alexis is charged with felony murder, and felony murder is, hey, I did not actually do the shooting, but I knew what was going on, and there was going to be a robbery. And I was a participant in the robbery, which is a felony. And when somebody gets killed during the commission of a felony, then you can be charged with felony murder, even though you had nothing to do with the shooting.
Could this be considered even a conspiracy to commit murder, even if only one person fired the gun?
It definitely could be. And I think they may have to amend their charging information later on. But conspiracy means you actually have to prove the murder. A felony murder is such a problem for defense lawyers, because a lot of times what happens is nobody was intending to be killed. And so when you go to the prosecutor, you say, this is what my client's going to say if we go to trial. And, she's willing to come forward and incriminate Mr. Winston, but she wants, you start with swinging for the fences. She wants all charges dismissed. Now, Mr. Winston, on the other hand, reading through the probable cause affidavit, I don't see that there's not a whole lot of evidence, direct evidence, that links him to the crime. So if I were him, I'd be saying, I'd say, I have no idea what happened here. Alexis, my girlfriend, she leads kind of a wild life. I mean, when you read the probable cause affidavit, Kennedy, you see that Alexis's mom kicked her out of the house because Alexis was hanging out with pimps, and that's her own words, the mom's words, and other kind of ne'er-do-wells. And so if I'm Brian Winston's attorney, I'm saying, he has nothing to do with this. And Alexis is hanging out with these kind of, this wild crowd, and anybody could have killed her. And so, I don't really know what you want me. My involvement is nothing. So there's nothing I can do. Now, I don't know that Brian's going to be able to say ever, like, I knew what happened with Alexis, because then it would implicate himself, unless he's going to say that Alexis told me what happened. But Kennedy, when you read the probable cause affidavit, you're going to see that at whatever happened about 1 a.m, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And about 5:30, a few hours later, when Alexis and Brian, her boyfriend, are communicating on by text, and they're saying, I love you, I'm sorry. But they don't talk anything about shooting or a shooting or a killing or anything like that. So it just seems like a boyfriend and a girlfriend that were in a fight. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this case where a defense lawyer can make some hay.
Yeah, just so many moving parts. But do you think, and this is all speculation at this point, obviously, but do you think that Alexis would truly have an argument like the one you suggested, given the fact that they have her, alleged Instagram messages where she's planning everything with the boyfriend?
It's a little unclear, honestly. When you read it, you can interpret things the way that you want. And by the way, I mean, just because she looks like she's wanting to rob somebody doesn't mean it was with it. In the probable cause affidavit, here it is. There, she does send like what I would say a really bad text out about hitting a lick, or the phrase "hitting a lick" is street slang for I'm going to rob somebody and take some of their stuff. And she talks about hitting a lick, and that's pretty bad. But it doesn't mean that it was with Brian Winston. I mean, if she's hanging out with lots of bad people, she could have been hitting a lick with anybody.
That's a good defense attorney right there, because within 14 seconds, he just created what everybody that's on trial needed: reasonable doubt. That's all you need, bro. You just need a reasonable doubt. You need to have that one thought in your mind and be like, damn, well, maybe it didn't go that way. Maybe it could have. That was good. That was good on his behalf. But on my behalf, what I want to get into is this T-shirt right here. This shirt right here says a lot to me, bro. That shirt said a lot. And what it says to me, well, it says Daddy's Princess. That's the words on it. But for me, bro, and with her, I just feel like she crying out for attention. She has a craving, a massive craving for attention from a male, from men. Clearly, he said that she hang around pimps. Now, this little girl can't be no older than 15 or 16, little big head muff. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. She can't be no older than 20. She can't be no older than 20. So she don't have no business hanging around no grown-ass men past 20. Now, when you think of pimps, I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know. It ain't no age requirement, but still, it's older. It's older. And for me, that just screamed like, bro, she just want male attention. She just want male attention. Now, I'm not sure if our father was present in her life, but I am quite sure that does signify, and hopefully, for everybody who is watching this, that can imprint the fact that a father's presence is very, very, very important and a daughter's life. And the son too, both. It's not just a daughter. It's not just your daughter, it's both. It's your daughter and your son. But I got a daughter, so for me, I'm standing up for all of the girl dads. Yeah, bro, this right here is what your presence is. Now you may think like, all right, like, you know, I ain't really gonna be around, whatever. And I don't, man, listen, you handle your situation however you wanna handle it. You handle it however you want to handle it. Just be prepared for the consequences and the outcome. But I'm like, this to me is what happened when you're not there and you're not around. That's what happened when you're not there and you're not around. She don't have no guidance. From what I've gathered, from all of this paperwork and documentary, she don't have no guidance, bro. She don't have no guidance. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because she can really fuck up her life. She really could, bro. She really could fuck up her entire life. Her entire life. But then, and this going to sound crazy on the flip side, like he said, she can flip, tell him, hey, you know, he did X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. I ain't know about all. She can do that too, and then off to the next one, bro.
With Brian Winston, I mean, if she's hanging out with lots of bad people, she could have been hitting a lick with anybody. And so there's another wrinkle on this case as well. And I don't see Brian and Alexis being boyfriend and girlfriend too much longer. I will tell you that much. I mean, I think somebody's going to have to turn on the other here shortly, and they'd probably be wise to do that unless they are absolutely not guilty. But there seems to be too much evidence to support that theory.
It's gonna be a lot. Y'all know how many relationships that ended over the jail phone? You know how many relationships that marriage, whatever, bro, whatever you want to call it. And it's unfortunate. We don't wish it on nobody. But man, shh. Who you gonna choose?
Right. I'd be surprised if they're still boyfriend and girlfriend, given the fact that they're both sitting in jail right now. I feel like that's pretty hard to maintain a relationship while that's going on. But
You would be surprised.
Oh, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. Anything is possible. Well, both suspects were charged with robbery resulting in serious bodily injury. Can you explain what that means in this context?
Yeah, it's not very complicated. It is kind of what it says that it is. When you are committing a robbery and you know hit somebody with the butt of a gun or you shoot them, and Indiana has a definition for serious bodily injury, and if they meet the definition, the person that's hit or shot meets that definition by their injuries, then you would be charged with a robbery causing serious bodily injury in the course of that robbery. And it's prosecutors are going to throw everything against the wall typically and see what sticks because they don't know how the thing's going to shake out ultimately.
And we just spoke about the possibility of one of the suspects taking a deal, but is it possible that only one of the suspects could be convicted while the other one is just acquitted?
Yeah, that sometimes that happens. Sometimes what happens, you will, as a lawyer, you go in and you get the deal first because typically you're going to get the better deal. But I've seen it happen before where the person goes in, gets the deal, testifies against the co-defendant, and then the co-defendant walks. Or
Wow.
the case falls apart and the prosecution offers a better deal than the first person. And so then the lawyer feels kind of bad about that. Like, maybe I should have not pled that thing out. So there's a lot of strategy on the defense side right now. Whoever they hire, whatever public defender they end up with, those people right at the beginning of a case like this, it's very crucial to plan it out in a smart way.
How does intent factor into a case where one suspect, allegedly lured the victim and another one allegedly pulled the trigger?
But because in the felony murder law of Indiana, it doesn't matter who pulls the trigger. It just doesn't. And so you better not have been a participant in the robbery. And that's why I think she's going to have to go with, if everything kind of shakes out, she's going to have to go with, if there's evidence, for example, that Brian, her boyfriend, showed up, there's geo tracking on his phone that shows that, then she's going to have to say, this came out of nowhere. I mean, this guy's jealous. He's angry. He came in and shot and I left. And then when I told him later in the morning, when I told my boyfriend at 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning that I loved him, that's because I'm scared. I don't want him to think those are the kind of things that she's going to have to say in order to not be implicated in the robbery. But then again, like you said, Kennedy, there's text messages and internet evidence that she's planning to hit a lick or to rob somebody, and so that becomes very difficult. Then you're going to say, well, I was going to that's not the robbery I was talking about, it was a different robbery. And boy, once you start slicing that onion down, it's not very good usually for the client.
You tell one lie, you gotta tell 3,000 more to cover it up. That's a lie, bro. That's a lie. The fact that you talking about he's jealous and that is the absolute worst. They be the worst ones to me, bro. They be the worst ones for me, cause now not only did you get bro knocked off, you got him knocked off. Now you lying. Now you lying. Now you lying. Try and get another person knocked off. And I'm like, for me, bro, and A always has to start before B. A happened before B. And C is the outcome. C is the outcome. And you are the catalyst. You are A. You the first. This, man, come on. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. It bothers me. It bothers me. It bothers me. He right what he's saying, what he talking about. He's absolutely right, but that's just that part of the law where you look at it and you got, your eye be like that a little bit, bro. It is what it is. It is what it is. But me personally, I don't like it, because if you was never there, if the catalyst was never there, we wouldn't have none of these problems, bro. We won't have none of these problems. You mean to tell me that because by you flipping and going against the person that you was rocking with, you get to go away scot-free? You chilling? Sick, bro.
How do courts authenticate that type of digital evidence, like those Instagram DMs and the Google search history?
That's a great question, and we defense lawyers are always battling to, cause a judge to maybe throw out that evidence, but it's really not that complicated. You get Google involved. There's a business record. They prepare. They send it to the prosecutor. They send it to you, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. You can question who was on the device at the time that and maybe it wasn't my client that sent that stuff out. It was her sister or something like that, or a neighbor. But the authentication process is actually not that complicated.
Now, both suspects, they are teenagers. Does their age impact how they'll be tried in Indiana? Are judges or juries more lenient when it comes to young defendants in violent crimes?
It's a great question, and I think in today's world it matters less and less about the age. As once you hit 18, I think juries, they just want to see the facts, and they want to see, did the state prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. Judges at sentencing time, it may have impact on them in terms of whether or not they're going to be a little bit more lenient on a sentence should there be a conviction. And the really, I'd say, if anybody's going to care about the age, it might be the prosecutor. The prosecutor might, if it's a close call on whether to pull the trigger on a plea agreement, the prosecutor's looking at the case, or like, maybe we might lose this case. Some of the facts may not go down the right way. So it's a young person, and they can start to psychologically think maybe we can give this person a little bit of a break, and it could have some impact on the prosecutor's decision in terms of a plea.
And the prosecutors, they are trying to prove, a setup. What evidence matters the most?
I'd say that internet texting evidence, geo-tracking evidence. I think that's going to matter. I think if the one of them turns on the other, that's obviously going to matter. But that texting evidence and the evidence off of the phone is just devastating to so many defendants. It's like I want to tell people, if you're going to get into the life of crime, just get rid of your phone. And it's going to be a lot easier. But then you also have to worry about video and so forth. They did find one video on this case at a liquor store that potentially showed Alexis in the vehicle with Mr. Pryor, who was the person that was killed. But Mr. Winston, her boyfriend, was not in that video. But we don't know if there was flock video of the car leaving or anywhere else. So there's still more to come, I'm sure.
If convicted, what kind of sentence could each suspect face?
Uh, they're facing 45 to 65 years, and uh, in reality, that 45 is a mandatory minimum, meaning
Wow.
the best they
Damn.
can do is 45 years. And in Indiana, currently you have to serve 75% of that. So I'm not good with math. I don't know what
It's
that would
about
be. I think it's
37.
37 and a half years, something like that.
That's about
So yeah,
37.
that's why sometimes we as lawyers, what we're trying to do is get off of that mandatory minimum for murder down to a level 2 voluntary manslaughter. I mean, you never know. It could be a situation. You never know what's going to happen on a case like this. It could be self-defense, for crying out loud. Maybe the guy in the car was doing something. You just never know what's going to happen. But if you can get it knocked down to voluntary manslaughter, oh, I was angry, she was cheating on me, and then that knocks it down to a level 2 felony, which in Indiana carries 10 to 30 years, and that's not mandatory minimum. So the lawyer is always trying to get the thing pled down, if the person is actually going to be found guilty, get it pled down to something more manageable, so that the person, especially when they're young, that for the defense lawyer, that's a big deal when they're young, because then you can say, gosh, you're going to get out when you're 40. But when they're 40 already and they're going to get out when they're 75 or 80, then it's like you might as well roll the dice at that point in time. And that actually, I forgot to add that part, is who does the age impact? In a lot of ways, the biggest impact is on the defense lawyer and the choices that you make and the risks that you're willing to take on behalf of your client.
I'm surprised. So no one is looking at a life sentence for this?
They're not. They're not in Indiana. There's two above murder. You can file for what we say LWOP, or life without possibility of parole,
Hmm.
or the death penalty. And the death penalty doesn't seem to apply here, but LWOP could apply, and potentially, if the prosecutor wanted to pursue that, it just never happens. It, the range of penalties for murder is so severe that there's really not it, and for most people it is a life without possibility of parole.
Could the victim's family pursue a civil case in addition to a criminal trial?
Sure, they could. Normally that doesn't happen just because they don't have any money, and uh, but it does happen on occasion, but not typically.
I'm glad she asked that question because they deserve a voice. And I said it. I think a lot of the times in these situations, everybody focus on the case. Everybody focus on the trial. You got the lawyers focusing on it, the judges focusing on it, the witnesses focusing on it, the jury focusing on it. The boom, 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 boom. Everybody focus on the trial and what's going on, but don't nobody shed a lot of light or love on the family. They lost this young man. They lost this young man. Hold up. Yeah. Tats. All right. We got, yeah. That's somebody's nephew. That's somebody's brother. That's somebody's son, grandson. They lost this young man. He not coming back. He not coming back. And it'll never be judged. You'll never feel satisfied. I don't care what they say. If it's life, the death penalty, you get stoned or whatever, bro. You'll never feel justice because he's not coming back. He's not coming back, bro, and that's the part that I just feel like it get overshadowed by the case and the trial and all of that. I love these trials and I love these trial videos, but the family, interview the family, see how the family felt. Like he said, they probably won't have no money to do that. Allegedly, we don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they don't, like help the family out. Don't man, show love. Show love. This is gonna receive attention. This is gonna get attention. So it might be some people. I ain't gonna go there, man. But this, yeah, the family, bro.
Life without possibility of parole, because they don't have any money, and um, but it does happen on occasion, but not typically.
Lastly, what role does public interest or media attention play in how prosecutors handle this case? There's no way for this to get tossed out of the city, right, because of the media attention?
Not anymore. I've been practicing over 30 years, and when I was much younger, it was somewhat common to get venued out because of publicity, but because of the internet and so forth, it's like, where are you going to go? You can't go anywhere. I mean, the thing gets publicity everywhere it goes, and By the way, when you get into the courtroom and you're in with a jury, what judges know and what defense lawyers and prosecutors know is you would be amazed at how many people just don't know about the case, no matter how big it is. I've been in some very high profile cases, and you get in there and the people are like, yeah, I've never heard of it. And we're all just shocked at that. And on a case like this, it's getting some publicity in Indianapolis for sure, but it's not, next week there'll be 2 other murders, and those will be
For sure.
the flavor of the day at that point in time in terms of publicity.
Right. Well, this is a case that we will definitely be following.
That's the absolute truth. That is the truth, bro. You don't know which way them type cases gonna go. You don't know which way that they're gonna go. It's just, man. And the sad part about it is, bro, that's just life. It's just a part of life. Like he said, it's gonna be another 2 that happen in 2 more days. It's gonna be another 2 that happen in 2 more days. This is bro. It happens. It happened. Don't think that because it ain't happened to you that it ain't going on in the world. Because I was like that. Man, it's like if it ain't happened to me, if it ain't go down to me, it ain't going on in the world. But nah, man, I'm trying to tell you, be careful who you choose as a partner. Be careful who you try to date. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't go out there and don't date. For the youngins who watch, I'm not saying that. But just use more, just think, bro. Just think. And this ain't nothing against him. It ain't nothing against him. But something that I do know now, older, and even before when I was younger, bro, when you first meet a chick, when you first meet a girl, bro, all of that dark, secluded place, you don't know what she got up her sleeve. You don't know what she got up her sleeve, man. Listen, I tell you all of the time, just because she light-skinned and look good and all of that other shit, that don't mean that she haven't sent. That don't mean that she shit gold. That don't mean that at all, bro. That it could be the complete opposite. The complete opposite. You don't know how bad, man. You just don't. You just don't. But again, being that young and being in that situation, I get it. Like, all right, cool. I'm going to just link up with shorty. I've done it when I was that age. Pull up on you at 1 o'clock. And yeah, I done did it before, so it's understandable. But ultimately, bro, it's just not safe. It ain't a safe thing to do. No, like I said, for him, it's unfortunate. And for real, I think that's unfortunate because it shouldn't have to be like that. We shouldn't have to live like that, bro. In this day and age, we shouldn't have to live where you can't even go pull up on a girl that you like because you try and sit in the car in the park while the stars shooting across and all of that. Y'all naming different stars and shit like that. You know, y'all chilling doing y'all thing. That's how it should be in the perfect world. In a perfect world. But in this world, pay attention. In this world is ruled by law. There's laws in this world. There's laws and there's consequences to the shit that you do. Trust me, it can be in the court. It can be in life and the duration of your life. It can be in health. There's consequences to everything that we do. Everything. Now, don't get afraid. Don't get afraid and think that the word consequences mean that, it's something bad. It ain't always bad. And change is not always bad. Change not always bad neither, but just be mindful. Just be mindful. If I do this or when I do this, this can really happen. This can really happen. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to the family because it's like, man, they ain't going to get them back. I know I said it 1,000 times. But they not. And regardless of what they decide to do with them two, it ain't never going to make them feel like, all right, fine, cool. It ain't going to never, it just, for me, it just never make you feel like everything cool, regardless of how many years they got, whatever, bro. Whatever is no, it's no justification. There's no justification for that. But again, as far as she go, man, the father situation, man. Y'all let me know, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that video. GTG, the family as always is love. And we out.